such an honor for all of us. Do you guys know what honor means? Can you tell me what honor means? What does honor mean, Chandler?
It's really good to do something.
It's very special, isn't it? It's something that you don't take for granted and you should be thankful for. And so today, well, what is today? Sawyer, what's today? Today is a special day called Veterans Day. We've all been talking about and researching it, but it's really, really cool to be able to actually have 3 veterans here with us at school today. So what does that mean that these 3 gentlemen have done for us?
I've been in the Navy, military, or they like fought for us, or like.
I love it. So he said that you guys have been in the military, that you fought for us.
People?
They've been good people. Absolutely. You've been a good person?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Protect us.
Protect us. So these 3 gentlemen have taken part of their lives and put it towards service to just Virginia?
No.
Just Salem.
No.
So what was their service for? What was their service for, Knox?
Protect us.
Just us in this classroom, right?
No.
No? The entire United States of America. And oftentimes, they also helped protect other countries. Our country is so powerful and strong and is able to help others in need. So, what I would like to do is to give each of these gentlemen a chance to tell us their name, and they're going to tell us which part of the armed services they were in. So I need to figure out what are the 5 possible armed services. What's one? Which one is in the air? Which one protects the air?
Air Force.
Air
Air Force.
Force. That's one. What's another one? The Marines. Is that what you said? Very good. What's another one?
Navy.
The Navy. Do you remember what the Navy helps really protect? Does anybody remember? What does the Navy protect?
Land and water.
Marines are specialized soldiers who protect land and water, but the Navy really focuses on the water. Good job. Yes, sir. Do you know another one?
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard, where the land and water meet. So someone's protecting where those 2 things meet. Cool. Do you know the last one? We've got one more. On the ground. Yes, which one was on the ground?
There's 2 more.
Was there 2 more? Did I miss one?
The Space Force.
We just now see. I don't know a lot about the Space Force.
Yeah.
We were just
It's a new
looking at
one.
our scholastic.
It's a new one.
Yeah.
2019. I'm surprised it wasn't.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And also there is the Army.
Army. Good job. All right, so Sarah, we would love to know your name and which armed forces did you participate in, or did you
My
perform?
name is Tom Poland. I'm Mrs. B's dad. And I was in the Air Force,
And when were you in the Air Force?
1969 to 1973.
And what was your specific special job in the Air Force?
I was a security police officer.
I don't know about the other classes, but today we talked about how they have musicians, firefighters, divers, doctors, nurses, and so you were a police officer in the Air Force.
I was responsible for the security of the base.
That is so cool. So what's the base?
The base was where all the personnel were located at, all the munitions were located at. Everything was in a certain area.
And so
we lived at.
your job was to protect the place where your offices and homes and all were stationed.
Yes.
Very, very cool. That's amazing. And what is your name, sir?
Ralph Bowen,
And how are you related to someone here?
he's my son.
This is B's granddad.
So we have father and son who were in the military and are veterans. And which force were you in?
Navy,
In the Navy. And what was your job with the Navy?
many.
What was your favorite?
Probably the hardest job was securing the water behind the submarine nets.
Can you guys
You
imagine?
guys hear that?
His job was to secure the water behind the submarines and the nets. And there's so many jobs on just one submarine or one base. And there's so many people that need to fill those jobs. That is so cool. And what is your name?
My name is Hank Heifel, and I'm
Kyle Heupel's daddy.
And what were you?
I was in the Air Force.
And what job did you have?
I was a pilot.
Very cool. Awesome. So, are there any specific things that you'd like to share about your experience as a veteran, or a cool story that you want to share? And if not, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I know that we have lots of questions to ask, but I wanted to give you the floor before the questions started. How about you?
I flew the president's limousine wherever he went.
What I know in the military there are, I guess what's the name? Like you were a captain.
Yeah.
What's that called?
Right.
Right. You're right. So you were a captain. What was your rank, sir?
Sergeant.
Sergeant. What was your rank, sir?
Third class petty officer.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I love that. All right. So this is the plane that Captain Heupel flew, and it was so big that the limousine could pull and drive into the back of it, and he would just take the whole limousine wherever he was going. I'm going to let you guys just pass this around carefully, okay? What war did you participate in?
Vietnam.
The Vietnam War. And so were you over in Vietnam during that time? I mean, we're so grateful for your service in that time. Absolutely. So were you part of a war during your service?
Second World War.
Mr. Heupel served the same time, and I'm so sorry, I forgot the last name. Which
Poland. That's all right.
that you guys served at the same time. What years did you serve?
1969 to 1974.
And were you a war vet as well?
I was what's known as a Vietnam era vet. I flew in and out of Vietnam, but I was never stationed there.
So if there were people who were injured, oftentimes you would go
I would
in
fly them out, yes.
and they would put the entire hospital in the back of his plane. And so the people who were injured would be in a hospital bed with doctors and nurses helping them on the plane. That's how big that plane was. Miss B, if you want to jump in and
Okay.
if you want to share, because I know I have a lot of stories that
There's
I've heard.
a couple of questions that my friends have that they would like to
Perfect.
ask. So, Kelly, go ahead and ask your question. His grandpa was in the Air Force
Good
too.
for him.
Yes. Yep. And how old is your grandpa? 100 years old. Yes. He's 100 years old. How about tell him how old you will be in 2 weeks?
99.
Yep. 99 years old. Yep.
No, it's very possible, though, that Mr. Heupel flew in things that you used over in Vietnam. It's very possible that they helped one another during that conflict.
So, how old were you when you joined?
How old were you when you joined?
I guess I was 20 years old.
20 years old. Papa, how old were you?
18.
18, 21.
Y'all.
So they were all young, weren't they? Okay, Minnie, ask your question. Say it loud.
What was your uniform like?
Well, so we actually have two we'd like to show, if that's okay.
Whoa.
I've got some uniforms to
And I'll
see.
let you talk about what that is.
A utility uniform, which means
Military?
when you're just doing everyday work, you wore this uniform.
And so is that similar to what you had on, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do the things on the side mean on their arms? What does the thing on your arm
I
mean?
think he has one on the
Yep,
side.
I think it, yeah, Dad has.
So did your job ever change? Were you always like a police officer on base?
I was a security officer.
A security officer?
They had what they call law enforcement, and they had security, and I was in the security aspect of it.
And you said you had lots of different jobs. What was another job besides securing the water behind the submarines, the nets?
Mail.
Guys, they have people in the military. It's important that they know to have you handle the mail properly. So you did that. You helped them with the mail.
Yes.
Amazing. Did you have any other jobs?
I was a supply officer for my squadron. If we needed equipment, I would order it.
And did you want to show them your jacket and tell them what's on there?
Yeah,
Whoa.
that's my rank. I was a captain, and those are my wings. I earned that by going through pilot training.
Oh.
That's my name tag.
The mail, was there like a warning that didn't know if there was like a war coming? or was it just like regular mail that we have now?
So when you were doing the mail, was it just family kind of sending mail to the different officers, or was it mail that like you were getting warnings that bad things were happening?
No, it was more or less mail through the service. Carried mail from Washington, Hawaii.
We want to pick someone this week.
Carter.
Was it hard being away from your family?
Wow, that's a great question. Would you like to answer that one first? Was it hard being away from your family?
Extremely,
Extremely hard. What was the longest time you had to be away from your family?
1 year,
A whole year. And is that when you were in Vietnam?
yes.
That would be so difficult. Very challenging. Were you away from your family during service?
2 years.
2 years. Wow. And was that challenging for you?
That was over
Very much.
600
Very,
days.
that would be. So, guys, I don't know about everybody else, but we define the word sacrifice. When you give of your own self and time for the betterment of others. Being away from your family for a year and 2 years to protect us, is that a sacrifice?
Yes.
So, just right there alone, we could stop and go, this is why we say thank you. But then we've been talking about all the jobs that they've done and all the things that they've done to help us. So is Veterans Day an important day?
Yes.
Were you away from your family?
I was able to live in the United States on an Air Force base with my family, but my missions were flown all over the world. So I was gone for weeks or months at a time, but never for a year.
Yeah. Before we can do more questions. Is it okay if I pass that around?
Sure.
So part of the uniform,
Full of stuff.
and then this cool bag, and check out what's in here. Tell them about that.
That is a helmet that is worn by pilots when they fly. That's protection to your head when you're in action, so to speak.
And what are the things inside for it?
The headset, earphones are inside, and a microphone attaches, and you can talk to the people who are directing your mission.
Say the question again.
Awards.
Are these awards, Dad? Which one of these are like?
They're just badges that you earn for various things you do. This is an outstanding, our unit performed extremely well, so they gave us an award for that.
So they're
just
awards.
They're just awards for different jobs that you perform while you're in the service.
What did you learn from being in the military?
I learned mostly how to function as a unit. Instead of an individual, you're part of a mission. And your function is to support that mission. And that's what we all did while we were serving.
So when he says unit, he means like a team. Like the teams that you guys are on. If one person doesn't work well with the others, is your team going to do well?
No.
Okay. What did you learn by being in the military?
You grow up. Yeah, I'm hearing.
You mature, you learn how to respect one another, you learn how to respect authority and recognize people that are over you and learn to work with that, as our brother was talking about over here, and all, it's a team.
It's all the things that we at South Salem, we try to soar. So we do safety first, we offer kindness, we act responsibly and respect ourselves and others. And the things that you were saying reminded me of the very things we're trying to learn here, but on a much bigger scale that has bigger consequences. What did you learn in the military? What would you say that you learned that something cool in the military?
It doesn't make no difference what law you're in. You got to take orders.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes I think we forget that nowadays, that we need to respect people that are telling us what to do for the good of the team or the good of the classroom. You have a question?
Yeah. Did you have any other job after the military?
It's a great question. So after the military, what did you do then? What was your job after the military?
I worked for 11 years at Heating Corporation in electrical maintenance. Then after that, I started pastoring a church, which I pastor even today.
What was your job after the military?
I went to work for a gas company and was in charge of the operation of three 880 horsepower engines on the shift that I was on.
What was your job, Dad, after the military?
I stayed in the government and went to the civilian side. I worked in my last 20 years with the VA, the Veterans, now known as the Department of Veterans Affairs.
So your job was to help veterans who are after service.
Exactly right.
Well, and here's what's interesting about my dad. He is very deaf. Like, he has a very hard time hearing. But it is a direct result to what he did in the military. Because the planes that he flew were so loud, and they didn't have the protections they have now, his hearing loss is because of his service. And so the VA takes care of him still today. So if he gets his hearing aids, he goes to the Veterans Administration, the hospital, and still has care because of those things that happened while he was in service.